let me get back to Pete Rosenberg, right?
Well, he got his name right the first time. Good for you, King.
Well, that's because I got called on the carpet, so to speak.
Called on the carpet.
You know what that means?
Do not.
That's an old expression when you get called on the carpet. I guess would be called in by your boss, or like it's akin to getting sent to the principal's office for an adult. A kid. Oh, I got sent to the principal's office, and as an adult, I got called on the carpet. That means you had to, you got a talking to.
Okay.
But it wasn't by a boss in the WWE. It was when I went into when I first got to the dressing room in the Royal Rumble. At the Royal Rumble, it was early in the day. It was like I got there like 1:30.
Wow. And knowing you, King, you hate getting there early.
I hate getting there early, but I did get there early. But because we started the pre-show at what, 5?
Yeah.
I think 5 o'clock. And so I got there, and the first person I saw was Mark Henry.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, Mark Henry got like this real serious look on his face, and he says, "I think me and you gonna have to fight."
Oh no.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
And I said, "You ain't kidding." Fortunately, he was sitting down when I walked up to him. And so then I sat down across from him. I said, "Me and you're going to have to fight about what?" He said, "My friend." I said, "Well, who's your friend?" He said, Pete Rosenberg." Oh. Yeah. And I said, "Well, what about Pete Rosenberg?" He said, "I got him here. I mean," he said, "he's a huge fan." He said, "His house is like a shrine to wrestling." He said, "Everything in his house is wrestling. His whole life is about wrestling."
That's unfortunate.
And he said, and I guess he and Mark were close friends somehow. And Mark, I guess made the introductions or whatever. And he's the guy that got Pete hired up there. Okay. Or at least got him into got his foot in the door. And he said, "He thinks you don't like him." And I said, "No, I don't. I really don't even know Pete." I said, "I've only seen him. I've never really even talked to him or a conversation or anything. I've only seen him on the air." And I said, I guess I was just trying to throw a little conflict into the show, play a little devil's advocate or something. I don't remember. I guess I said about his name, I said, I did mispronounce his name, and I think he took exception to that. And he said, oh, so maybe it's just him being too sensitive. I said, yeah, if he really thinks for real that I don't like him, because I have nothing. I don't have anything against Pete Rosenberg. He's a fine guy, I guess, but we just, we don't hang out together. I don't know him that well. Yeah. I don't know. I guess the best thing to say is I don't know him well enough to dislike him. So yeah, but that was interesting. And then to go on the pre-show and then have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens say that they didn't like him, and I almost had to stick up for him there on the show.
So Rosenberg went to Mark Henry and and basically cried to Mark Henry saying that Jerry Lawler doesn't like him. Well, I know.
Now wait a minute, hold on now. See, you're stirring the pot. You're adding a little bit. I didn't say that he cried to him. I just said that Mark Henry told me that Pete thinks I don't like him. And I said, no, that's not the case.
Well, I mean, I know.
He to him and whined and cried. He didn't. We don't know that.
Well, I know. I was listening to somebody sent me a link that Rosenberg was on. Well, I know he does radio up in New York, but he was on a different show talking, and the host of that show, they played a clip of our podcast, with you not knowing Peter's name. Rosenbaum. That's going through the different names, not knowing who Rosenberg was, and I really think Pete, the way that Pete was on the show, he legit thinks that you don't like him.
Well, good. I mean, you said yourself, he's on the radio in New York. We don't get New York radio here in Memphis. I don't know that he's on the radio in New York. There are a lot of people on the radio in New York that I don't know about. Yeah. So I don't, and that's one of the things that happens in our business. Everyone assumes that everyone out there knows about you and is up on everything that you do. No matter who, whether you're a wrestler, whether you're a writer, whether you're a commentator, whatever, and that's just not the case. People have other things that they're into. They just can't, they just can't know everything about everybody. And I just didn't know who the guy was.
Right.
I wasn't familiar with him.
No,
I'd seen him on the shows and stuff, but that's it.
Yeah. No, I get you. I understand your point. It was just we're just having some fun with Peter. That's
yeah. Yeah. So Pete, if you listen to this podcast, you think he does?
I'm sure somebody will tweet at him.
Yeah, and I think if he's as big a fan as Mark Henry told me Pete was, then he probably does listen to a bunch of the podcast through the week.
Yeah.
Just to kind of stay up on whatever what everybody's saying about the business.
Yeah. So I'm sure he.
So Pete, I have no problem with you. We're good.
Yeah. I think after
we're much better. We're much better than me and what's this other guy's name? Sam Roberts.
Sam Roberts.
Now that guy.
He looks like a young Will Ferrell.
No, I don't have any problem with Sam Roberts. Sam's a cool guy too. I don't have any problem with anybody up there. It's funny. I've never, I get along with everybody up there.
Not what I heard, but moving on, King.
Oh yeah, right, here we go.
Moving on, but no. So hopefully, there's no more problems because you don't want Mark Henry on your bad side,
right,
or any side.